OB. But if I go to DC, maybe I can squeeze an appointment in there. Anyways, looking for a good OB. But there's something that they were talking about, and they're saying how women are taught to be ashamed of the changes that they're going through, and instead of being celebrated. And what I really like is how even at their age, they're talking about the significance of that. And I feel like this podcast supersedes like any age category. Like you can be as young as 17 and listen to this and really gain some information. So my question to you today is, how do you celebrate your body? How are you at home celebrating your body? And how do you remind yourself of all the incredible things that your body has done? And these are hard questions for some people. These are hard questions to really, I think, take in sometimes, because we don't do self-care, or we feel like we have to go so hard that it feels like a chore, and it's not something that comes so naturally to us. So I think for me, how I celebrate my body is in many different ways, but having just had a baby, I don't know how long I'm going to say for all the new moms out there. Like, how long do you say just had a baby for? Because it's now 7.5 months later, and I'm like, I just had a baby. No, you didn't. You had that baby 7.5 months ago, girl. So how long are we going to say that? I just had a baby, but my body it changed so much. And I now look in the mirror at a new body, and I'm having to celebrate that. And I'm choosing to celebrate that. So how are you at home celebrating your body? And how are you reminding yourself of all the incredible things that your body actually does? I'm really curious. Here's somebody. Somebody just said they yo-yo diet their whole life, and they need to be at peace with themselves and love themselves. I just had a baby too. The baby's name is Isaac Graham. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Oh, well, Isaac Irvin and Isaac Graham. How sweet is that? I love that. Somebody else just said, I don't know how to celebrate it. I think this is a really tough question. I really do. And I think, there's affirmations, and there's a podcast that we're going to be talking about in just a little bit towards the end of this Instagram live. And I really hope that you guys can stay on, because it really gives detailed ideas of what you can do to celebrate yourself. But I also encourage you to go back to the Michelle Obama podcast and listen to the conversation between her and Dr. Malone about celebrating yourself, because it should be something that you do out of pure love, and not out of the fact that you feel like you have to. Another question I wanted to ask you guys, and this is something that I feel like a lot of mothers out there have probably had to deal with. And Dr. Malone discusses this intimately with Michelle Obama. And it's about accommodations, and how women are constantly accommodating themselves for their husbands, for their children, for their job. And have there been moments where you felt like you've over accommodated? Have you been a victim of your over accommodations in life? Wow, that, just take a minute right now, because that's a big question. It's interesting, because you have to then ask yourself, do you give yourself the permission to say no? Because in accommodating for yourself, you might have to say no to some people. And I think saying no is very difficult. I've had to learn how to say no. I've had to learn how to say yes for myself. And especially when you bring a kid into it, especially when you're locked in your home and you're in quarantine and you're living with your family 24/7. Your mom is upstairs all the time. And that was another question, like, has it gotten worse during quarantine? I want to see what you guys are saying. I want to empower you guys to keep talking to me. Celebrate your body with pretty athletic clothes. There you go. Okay, girl. Oh, hi, lifestyle organizer. You know I love you, boo. You know I love you. Okay, think of developing a relationship with yourself. For me, one of the things that I like to do is massage shea butter on myself after every daily shower and thank each part. Wow, that's beautiful. And that's incredible dedication to every shower. I've definitely gotten worse over quarantine with saying and accommodating for myself. I mean, the gym has been helpful, and thank God for my trainer Kira. But these are things that we have to keep up and we have to keep doing. The other thing that Michelle Obama and Dr. Malone talk about is the fact that they have this women's health group. And I think it's cool because they have these conversations with each other in this group. And it's about how they're talking to their daughters and how they're talking to themselves. And, I proposed a question about motherhood the other day on my stories. It's like, where do you get your information? Where are you going and gaining information about how to raise your child and all these things? And for me, it's like, I've always just gone to my mom or Google, which can be a problem. So are you going to social media? Is that social media a great place to go and get all of your information for wellness, for joy, for mindfulness? I don't know. But I do know that podcasts and just while I'm showering or while I'm exercising have been incredibly helpful. And I've gained so much knowledge because you get to hear other people's perspectives, right? Yeah, it's about how do you, and also like, who are you turning to? I think that there's got to be a lot more than just taking in information. You've got to have these like conversations with people. And to your point, someone just commented, it can be confusing because there's just so much information out there. So I love the idea of starting a small group with my besties and my close friends. And even easier now, we can just do a Zoom and we can have everybody join. Maybe we should do that. Would you like to join? Okay. All right. So I am so excited because I have the guest of all guests on. Hold on, let me just make sure he's here. So in the spirit of mindfulness and wellness and meditation, taking care of yourself, how the heck do you go and add someone? I know it's easier than this. You guys, I'm having a moment. Oh, here we go. So in the spirit of mindfulness and all of this, I asked one of my incredible that I have interviewed for Pretty Big Deal to join us. He's also the host of another podcast called
Hey,
On
Ashley.
Purpose with JayShetty.
Hey, Ashley, how's it going?
Oh, it's going so good. I miss you so
I
much.
know, I miss you too, and I am loving seeing all the updates.
Oh, I'm loving. I mean, yes, we're friends, and yes, I know I could call you and I could ask you for advice and ask you for help or whatever. But just listening to your podcast brings me so much joy, and it fills me with so much information. And I'm so grateful that you've kept it up during quarantine. You haven't missed a beat, and you are just a breath of fresh air. So thank you.
No, you're the sweetest. I loved your podcast. Your podcast is awesome. I listen to it a ton as well, and it's such a joy to be back talking with you. And I learn so much every time I speak with you. And I loved your ideas you were just sharing right now. By the way, I was commenting away, going, "Yes, I'm in. Let's do that."
Oh, good. So everybody who missed Jay's comments, because I didn't read them, go back and read them because I'm so excited to talk to you. And also, I want to get into you celebrated a birthday and you have a book out.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so I listened to your podcast with Alicia Keys, and that was such an incredible podcast because she wrote a whole book about mindfulness and her journey to mindfulness and wellness. And everybody at home, if you're just joining us, Jay and I are talking podcasts. We're both podcast hosts. We love podcasts. Jay had a really interesting conversation with Alicia Keys. And I want to know, out of that whole interview, what was your favorite piece of advice that she gave, not just you, but her audience?
That's a really good question. So a little bit of story about that interview. I was so excited to meet her. We've been kind of connected and DM for a while, and we'd never met. And then we had the date scheduled, and literally lockdown hit a week before it. And so we couldn't do it in person, and so it was digitally done. And I was gutted because I really was excited to have it energetically. But the thing about her is that she's so powerful that even digitally, her energy was just like flying through. So
It
you
was
could,
like,
yeah, it was emanating. Yeah, you could feel it. So there's a question that I ask, and I think I asked you this question too. I ask this question at the end of every interview that I do. It was inspired by a question that my friend Trauma asks at the end of his podcast. And the question is, if you could create a law in the world that everyone in the world had to follow, what would it be?
ooh,
And, and she gave a really beautiful answer. She said something along the lines of this. She said, and I'm probably going to get it wrong completely, but it's along this. She said, if everyone could first meet and spend time with someone intimately in a deep way
mm.
before making a judgment about them or having an opinion about them, that would be an amazing law.
Okay, wait, my mouth is to the floor right now because I'm literally going through that in my own home. Oh my gosh, because I have friends visiting and my mom is like, who are these people? Know them. Just get to know them.
Literally. And I thought that was so genius. And my thoughts with that are also like, I think we need to spend time getting to know people before we form a judgment of them. I mean, I remember the first time we met, and we knew about each other, but
Yeah,
the best thing was, and this is what I love about you, Ashley, we were both like, let's just go get lunch. And I think we got lunch literally that weekend.
it was
And
Matt.
you were like, you were going to the Met Gala, like you made time for me, like on your way to the Met Gala. And I was like, wow, Ashley's so fabulous that she has time before the Met Gala for me. And no, I mean that. You were just so personal. And I was like, wow. And then we spent like a couple of hours together having lunch.
Mm-hmm. It
And,
was,
and I was just like, oh, I feel like I really got to know you.
yeah,
And that means whenever we connect now, even if we don't get to speak every week, I feel like we connected. And so I
yes.
love that. But also realizing that even after meeting someone, even after spending time with them, we have to understand that our experience with them is just our experience. That isn't
Mm-hmm.
them as a whole.
Mm.
And I think,
I,
yeah, I think that's a great
I,
place to start.
I love that you reminded us of that. And I'm so glad she said that because that is something that we really need now more than ever in this world. And that kind of brings me to another poignant question and how do we approach self-care? Because and the reason I'm going from I mean, because Alicia just talks so much about self-care. And
Mhm.
I know you do too, but like this was really a reflection. This whole podcast was a reflection of what she had been through. And she did like a whole 360 a change in her life. And not everybody has the opportunity to go off on a trip or to just like cut everything out of their life and to go through this journey. And my question is for those people, like, how do you take those steps? How do you bring yourself to that place of a 360 change when you're really desiring it and you know you need it and you're not Alicia Keys?
Yeah, no, good question. I think a lot of self-care starts with really, really simple things. So I want to talk a bit about physical things, like practical things people can do, and
Hmm.
then we can talk about maybe the more emotional, mental things that people can
Hmm.
do.
Okay.
But the practical things I think are really great triggers or windows into be able to doing the more emotional internal work. And so one of my favorite things is a method that I talk about in my book, and it's called sights, sense, and sounds. And I think we talked about this on your podcast as well. It's things that you see, things
Yes.
that you smell, and things that you hear. And I love this because I do it every day and it changes my day, even when I'm really tired or I'm exhausted or whatever it is. So the first question I ask is, what's the first thing you see in the morning? Because guess what? Every one of us gets a new start every single day. And you can have that new start, but if you start your new start with the same thing you did yesterday, that's not a new start anymore. And for 80% of us, we see our phones first thing in the morning before we look at our partners and after we look at our partners in the evening. So we see our phones first thing and last thing, studies show. So I want you to change that and say, what do I see in the morning? Maybe the first thing you should see in the morning is a quote that you love, or maybe it's a prayer that means the
Mm-hmm.
world to you, or maybe it's a paragraph of your favorite book, or maybe it's a picture of your family, or maybe it's a work of art that inspires you differently. So when I walk in, this is my podcast studio, and whenever I walk in here and I look at these pictures, they all inspire me differently. So all of a sudden I've walked in and I'm feeling inspired by just what's around me. So that's what you see. Scents. Let's talk about what you smell, because we all know that whether you walk into a restaurant or whether you walk into a spa, your scent has a powerful effect on your mind. You walk into a restaurant, you want to eat. You walk into a spa, you feel relaxed. And so ask yourself, what scents can you use in your day that's going to help you relax, that you can inhale? For me, it's eucalyptus, lavender, sandalwood. Just get a bit of an essential oil, get some drops, put it in the shower, create your own steam, put it wherever you like. And that's just what it's going to do, it's going to help you calm down so you can actually address your anxiety.
Right.
And the third and final one is sound. I think most of us either have the news playing in the background, or we just kind of have a lot of background noise in our life. And by the way, background noise is just wasting brain space and energy. And so why not replace that with a song you love, or nature sounds, or a podcast? And being able to change what you listen to is going to change your mind state. So those are more of the very practical things. You can change your day through your sights, your scents, and your sounds.
I love that. You know, I remember us talking about that. And it was on my podcast, and I remember taking it in and like where we were. So, and that's so important, and it's such a great piece of information. My biggest problem right now, and maybe I'm speaking for other people, but I'm just going to talk about me myself, and my problems, is how do I make mindfulness not a chore?
Yeah.
Because I want to change things. I don't want to look at my phone when I first wake up in the morning. I don't want to, I want to have meditation. I want to, make time for prayer, and I want these things, but like, then it feels like a chore. So how do I do that?
Yeah. So the best thing about both positivity and negativity, study shows that they're both contagious. And so when I spend time with people who love prayer, I fall more in love with prayer.
Mm-hmm.
When I spend time with people who love meditation, I fall more in love with meditation. It's one of the reasons why me and my wife go back to India every year to live in the ashram that I used to live at, so that we can be with the monks for 2 to 3 weeks. And then I just feel like I've got this complete boost. I went in January this year, so I don't think I'm going to be able to go this year because India's really been impacted. And I'm kind of thinking, what am I going to do in replacement of it? Because I find that 2 to 3 weeks in India is so powerful for me. And so I really feel that we have to, and that's what I'm saying, that you can spend time with people through podcasts, through books, through actually having friends that are into it. And I think creating little communities around things you all want to get better at is so important. And it's the most age-old advice in the world, but it is so true. It works, because I know for a fact that, because my wife is such a serious meditator, it inspires me every day to meditate more.
And how are we married to these amazing people?
We talk about this all the time.
No!
We both did great. We hit the jackpot. We're living our best life. Exactly. I love it. And that's what I mean, that we've just got to take that inspiration. And that's what I constantly say. It's like sometimes, the Bhagavad Gita, which is the book that I studied, can say that your mind can be your best friend or your worst enemy. And so your best friends have to be the people that bring out, more of that consciousness in you. So for me, that's my focus. And I think we've got to seek out those people online. We've got to seek out the books of those people. We've got to seek out those people in our lives.
Right. It's so good. That's good. In fact, I have like little pockets of friends who everybody gives me something amazing. And I think that and something really great. And during quarantine, for me, I don't know about you, but it's been so hard to keep up with people. So engulfed in like trying to keep my own life just together.
Yeah.
So it's I only FaceTimed you once. I need to FaceTime you more.
I know. I wish I did too. I think it's always that way. Like we all just, it's like, you want to connect with certain people, but you've got to make a ritual and a habit out of it. And I think it's almost like, and a lot of us, I know I live by the schedule, and I know things just have to be in the schedule. And I know that when something's in my diary, I'll always make time for it. And if it's there, I'm there. And
Even
sorry?
Even date night. Date night is
even date night. Yeah. And I don't think that that's not spontaneous, because all you're saying is I'm making sure we have the time. And now you can infuse that time with all the spontaneity and all the energy. And so for me, I think with my friends and even people I love, it's just so good to be like, look, I'm going to set this time aside. It's in the calendar. We're going to get together. And at the beginning of lockdown, I did it with a lot of my London friends. We were doing Zoom calls like every week.
But it gets exhausting.
That's true. That's the other side.
Don't play games with me, Jay. You know how we all feel.
It's so funny. We just went from, I really want to connect more with people. Wait a minute. It's really exhausting.
I know. That's the problem. I'm living it right now.
It's so true. It's so true. And I think all of us are trying to figure, like, no one's mastered it, right? Like, and that's the point. I think the point is to be like, look, there is no right way and there is no map and plan, and just go with it and find the things that give you joy, and don't put so much, don't put so many parameters and barriers and judge. I think the point is judging ourselves and judging everything. And it just, like we were saying about earlier, just as we judge other people, a lot of it stems from the judgment of ourselves. And so I think it's really important that we allow ourselves to react and respond in different ways to this, because it's new for all of us.
It is. It's so new. You're so right. Be gentle with ourselves. Okay, before you go, you just wrote a book and it just came out yesterday, 2 days ago.
It came out. Yeah, where is it? Oh, there.
In New York, and I'm in Nebraska. Otherwise, I'd be like,
No, it just came out yesterday, and it's been amazing and exciting. And inside the book, I've just shared a ton of great insights and wisdom from loads of different traditions, loads of different backgrounds and studies and research and stories. And it's really practical book. It's full of like, try this, practical exercises, stuff that people can do every single day.
Everything that I just asked you, like, how do I? It's all in the book.
Absolutely, it is.
Think like a monk.
Yes, yeah, think like a monk, because monks from all different traditions have been shown to have the most happy, compassionate, and calm brains in the world scientifically.
I would describe.
Well, I'm not a monk anymore, so I'm not sure.
Like,
but
I feel like being a model, like once a model, always a model, once a month, always.
I like that. That's awesome. If you say it, then it's fact.
Okay, then it is.
It is. But that's the thing, that so monks have the highest form of gamma waves in their brain, which is linked to happiness, joy, and attention. And all the studies show that monks are able to find that space of calm and peace quicker because of their meditation. And so in this book, I've broken down the studies so people can see the science, but also they can see the practical steps of what they can do to get there.
Wow. I can't dive into it.
I need to send it to Nebraska. Send me your Nebraska address.
It's being sent to me. Don't worry. I'm already on it. I'm like, his book went to New York and I'm in Nebraska. So I miss you. I can't wait to squeeze you in real life.
Oh, the best.
And thank you again for joining Listen Up, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Ashley. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.
You too. Bye. All right, guys. Ugh, don't you just love Jay? I love Jay. Ah! All right, so if you're just joining us, we are talking podcasts, and thanks to our friends at Spotify, we've got this great series called Listen Up with Ashley Graham. And if you haven't listened to the podcast, totally fine. And somebody's asking, where can we get Jay's book? I think just go to JayShetty's Instagram. He's definitely got the link in the bio where you can buy it. That book is going to be phenomenal. I feel like also, no matter what religion or belief system you have, like, you're always able to learn from other people and other cultures. So I'm totally excited about that book. But the next podcast that I listened to, again, the podcast or the link in my bio, it's called Self-Care IRL. And if you don't know what IRL is, it's in real life. But the podcast is called Self-Care IRL. It's by Ty Alexander, who I have met a few times, and she is a wonderful human being. I have laughed with her at parties, and she's incredibly stylish as well. So go check her out, you guys. But the podcast that I listened to that I'm excited for you guys to listen to is it's about how to approach self-care, and she explores becoming your best self and choosing happiness. And one of her first questions was, am I a nice person? And not just am I a nice person, but am I a nice person to myself? And I think a lot of people have a hard time answering that question and actually doing that question. And I was listening to the podcast, which is called Are You a Kind Person to Yourself? I was in the shower. First of all, this podcast is only 10 minutes long, you guys. Can we just, like, I do love a long podcast for a drive. Like, cool, 75 minutes. You know, you're going to take me till I have to go to the bathroom again on a road trip. But 10 minutes, and I'm a mom. I've got a shower. So I was in the shower because I knew this was only going to be 10 minutes, shaving my legs. And I'm like, where is my notebook? I need to be taking notes, because she just packs everything in, and it's thoughtful and it's direct, but it's kind. So, in talking about kindness, my question to you is, are you kind to yourself? Are you kind to yourself? Are you taking time for you? It's a big question. It's a simple question, but it's a big question. Are you kind to yourself? I mean, I think that, she gives really great advice about different steps that you can take to be kind to yourself. And one of them is writing sticky notes all over, wherever your workspace is or wherever you spend the most time. Or even Jay said, like, do you just need to wake up and see something right away? And what I like about Ty's podcast is that she talks about creating a schedule and investing in yourself in the morning. And one of the funny things is taking laugh breaks, which I thought was so funny, and it sounded so corny, but at the end of the day, it's like, oh, no, those things work. They're very important. She also talks about affirmations and how words have power. And we know that words have power. We know that words are incredibly important for our future. So if you don't have affirmations, I know Jay would tell you to get some. I know Ty Alexander and her podcast, Self-Care IRL, would tell you to get some. And my affirmations have always been, I am bold, I am brilliant, I am beautiful. I am bold because my mother wanted me to live my life outside of the box. I am brilliant is because I was always told, because you're dyslexic and because you have ADD and because your reading level is so low, you're never going to get anywhere in life. And so I had to remind myself how brilliant I was, despite what people were saying about me. And I'm beautiful because, I mean, I've always had in the modeling industry, people knock you down for what you aren't and instead of praising you for what you are. So, and now as a 32-year-old who just had a baby, I am bold, I am brilliant, I am beautiful the meanings are changing. So everybody's affirmations are different, and write yours down, recite yours to yourself. Whatever the struggle is, whatever you're going through, remind yourself that you are more than enough, which last week Elaine was talking to us, so I'm happy to bring that back around. But the affirmations are amazing. I am so excited about this podcast. There's so much, and I feel like I could talk about it for half an hour, but this 10-minute podcast will bring you so much joy, and it will help you reflect on what's really going on in your life and how to continue to improve it. Well, you guys, it is that half-hour mark, and I am just so thankful that you all joined me for this Listen Up with Ashley Graham. Thanks to Spotify. And I just want to remind you to be gentle with yourself, to remember to reflect, but to soften that inner critic. Ty talks about that inner critic, and remember that this is not a journey of the wellness Olympics. This is truly about what you're doing for yourself, not making it a chore, but making it a regular routine. And also, I just want to thank Spotify for making this happen. This has been so much fun. I love podcasts more than I love, I'm not even going to say, ice cream, dairy-free ice cream. So thank you guys for joining. I love you. I love you. I love you. It's raining outside here in Nebraska, but such is life. Enjoy your day. Mwah.